Hello everybody. So today we're going to cover singing tritones, and also we're going to talk about trichord operations. So last time we added thirds to our mix, which means that as of today we will have seconds, thirds, fourths, fifths, and tritones all available for our posttonal passages. There's not a ton to do with tritones, so we're going to have a couple examples on a bit of a longer melody, but not too much there. So let's go ahead and do a warm-up to begin with. So let's go ahead and sing a major scale. 1, 2, major scale. Major scale. 1, 2, ready, go. Okay. Let's go ahead and let's do melodic minor. 1, 2, ready, go. Boy, oh boy, I don't know why I played a major third on the way down. That was weird. Warm up over. We're good to go. Here we go. Okay. Beg your pardon, everybody. I don't know why I played like, let's see, that would be like natural major. I don't know. Weird. Anyways, let's talk about tritones. So, a whole bunch of little examples here. We're not going to necessarily sing through all of these. I want us to focus our energies on the melody that's coming up. So we'll kind of get through this quickly. We know tritones. It's a very recognizable shape. And so on. In this case, we've got a lot of interplay between tritones that are related by a fixed interval. So in this first one, for instance, we start off on C, go up a half step, go up a tritone, right? That's our 016 trichord pattern that we're used to, okay? So up a half step, tritone, up a whole step, tritone, and so on, okay? The next one, we have a similar kind of deal. Start on G, we go up a whole step, and then we go to I'm getting ahead of myself. Start on G, go to A, go to D flat, right? The tritone is within the first and third notes, but we have an intermediate note in the center, right? Down a half step, down a tritone. So you've got this kind of, with this note in the middle to kind of bridge the gap. Okay, just like last time, looking for kind of fixed intervallic patterns or for relationships in contour and an interval in your melody can be particularly useful for quickly analyzing these for singing purposes. So, example 9, similar type deal. Starts on C, goes up a whole step, goes up a tritone, right? Goes up a second, right? G sharp to B flat is deceptively small. It's not a third, it's only a second. Descends another tritone, right? Right? In that case, this is basically just outlining a whole tone scale. Our missing is one pitch. Okay? So there you go. Whole tones are back. Now, 27 and 28 provide just another interesting kind of shells of tritones connected by a fixed interval. So, for instance, B flat up to E, whole step, tritone. 28, you go up a half step, same deal. Pardon me? Okay, so in the first one, tritones related by a whole step. Second one, tritones related by a whole step. Just up a half step. So, 27 and 28 are interesting to practice as pairs because they work very well together because you get 4 different sets of tritones all related by either major or minor second. Pardon me. My oh my hands are just not behaving today. And you could repeat. and so on. Okay, it's kind of endless in that way. So pattern and interval based music, interesting. So 29. Okay, I will have you sing this one. Okay, we spent a little bit of time with tritones now. Again, there's not really that much to add because they are so distinctive and they don't invert. So there's not really much to do. So for 29, here's your first pitch. You can sing it on La or Do or Si or 0. Okay? Go ahead and take 30 seconds. Go ahead and look over 29 and 30. We're going to be singing both in just a moment. Okay? Okay, so let's sing 29, just those two measures, okay? This is our eighth note pattern. 1, 2, 3, 1, ready, go. Okay, so starts off by descending by a whole step, up a half step, have this kind of enclosure shape, tritone up, minor second up, tritone up, major second down, tritone down. All tritones, all seconds. And so on. 30. I actually look at 32. Let's take a look at 30. Okay. There's your first pitch. It's either Re or D or Tu or La. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, so this one is a little bit more complicated because it relies on more intervals than the previous ones did. So start by descending a second, minor second, tritone down, minor second down, tritone down. That's a familiar shape. We just saw that in 29, right? This is where it gets different. So instead of going up a second and then a tritone, for instance, we go up a second, we go up a fourth, up a fifth, down a fourth. So then we do fifths and fourths instead. That's going to be the biggest hurdle with tritones, is not stretching them or condensing them to fifths or to fourths on accident. So yeah, keeping the last bit of that, fourths and fifths, especially if you've been primed with all these tritones, is going to be difficult, but useful once we get that kind of nuance taken care of. Okay? So, I'm going to show you a melody here that is rhythmically quite nasty. Okay? I don't want to belabor the rhythmic point. I would encourage you to go and practice the rhythms for this on your own. What we're going to do is instead we're going to kind of look at this chunk by chunk. And rather than singing through all of this, you had a participation assignment this week. You've been practicing some singing already. What I would like us to do is I would like us instead to kind of go through this bit by bit and do like quick on the spot analysis, so to speak. So, starting off at the beginning, we have a shape that we've recognized. Down a minor second, down a tritone. Okay? Down a major second, up a tritone. Seconds and tritones all around. And I made that more compoundy than it is, but in any case. Now, rhythms aside, we go up a minor third, right, to the note that we started on. And then instead of going down a half step, we go down a whole step. And then we go down a major third. And then we go up a minor third, up a minor second, or up a major second, right? That's kind of an interesting shape because it alternates a lot of different intervals. And then we immediately in measure 3 go down a half step. But then we just outline a triad, a shape that we're actually quite used to. We outline a G flat major triad, right? But then we complicate things by going down further by a whole step at the end. half step, minor third, right? So hearing the relationship between the G flat in that measure and the G is useful as an anchor point, right? Hearing that G flat is kind of resolving up, so to speak. Good way to kind of keep track of where your pitch is. In the fourth measure, we go back up to that A again. We've been on that A a lot. 3 of our 4 measures now I've started on A. Down a half step again, a pause. Half step again, down to that tritone, down to C, up to F sharp. 4 and 5 look oddly suspicious. Well, that's because measure 4 and 5 is just measure 1 and 2 again. Okay? Remember at the beginning? Measure 4. And so on, or something of the like. So, 4 and 5, once again, on a scan through for a sight singing, recognizing that 4 and 5 is the same interval, and even in this case, the same pitch content as measure 1 into measure 2, is useful because it really saves you time on trying to figure out what's going on. All you have to worry about then is just the rhythmic component, okay? Now, measure 6, looky looky, the same material comes back. Pardon me? Right? Changes this time, okay? We then go up a major second, and then another tritone, up another major second. Okay? This is getting into measure 7, down to tritone, and then 2 semitones. Same place, and then we go down a tritone again, right? So, the end of measure 6 into measure 7 establishes this idea that is then continued again with different rhythms in measure 7 and then goes further down a tritone. Pardon me. Oh my gosh. My hands will not behave. Right? Then that tritone comes back. This is into measure 8. There's like an oscillation effect. Measure 8 has something quite deceiving because the E flat is the same as, or pardon me, what am I talking about? I'm getting ahead of myself here. Anyways, so we've got our G sharp up to an A, and then we go down a tritone. So we were oscillating between G sharp and D, right? Between 8 and between 2, and then we go up a half step, and then go between 9 and 3. And then once we go down to 9, we just do semitone down, whole step down, up to 10, right? Well, up to measure 10, rather. It would be up to 6, okay? Ending with the tritone. Now, this is an example of something that's far more complicated on the surface because of the rhythm and the meter than it actually is in terms of pitch. Notice that we've got 3 measures in this, actually 4 measures in this, that are just the same rhythmic idea over and over again in different rhythms. And then we've got another 2 measures that are based on a different set of rhythms. And so on, okay? So, once again, the whole point of post-tonal singing is trying to look at interval content, look for pitch similarities, look for rhythmic similarities. In this case, we don't have rhythm similarities, but we have several interval and exact pitch similarities. So, this one actually isn't as scary as it looks, despite some of the rhythmic trickery, okay? So, let's go ahead and leave that at that for now, okay? Tritone singing, we've got it in the bag. Now, I would like to end by talking a bit about trichord operations. So, before, we had trichords that were, all played in their prime form within an octave, like this, right? They were all relative to C. They were all, if I played the 016 trichord, I played 016. We can displace our octaves. We can shift notes, because remember, whenever we talk about these prime forms, we're talking about pitch classes. C is 0 in every octave, right? But the pitch C4 isn't the same as the pitch C5, right? So we can displace these things. In addition, we can take these trichords and transpose them so that they're not relative to C anymore, as you see in that second example. So here's O24. Here's O24, but I'm going to displace 2 of the notes to different octaves. right? So you have to, in your brain, shift all of these into their proper place, okay? Now, in this case, nothing's been transposed, so that's an asset for you, right? Once you do the octave switching, you then have the prime form trichord ready to go. In an example like the second one, though, you got something a bit different. You've got these pitches instead, right? Which, if you listen to it, it sounds almost kind of like a stacked fifth here, right? The problem becomes, though, wait, I'm playing, yeah, that's right, sorry. The issue is that there's no C here, so even when you reduce these down to within an octave, you still then have to figure out what the intervals are in between them. So, the distance between the bottom note and the middle note is 1. The distance between the bottom note and the top note is 6, right? Which is not... Why is that wrong? Oh, I know what I did. I beg your pardon, everybody. Sorry. That final note should be a B flat. This is what I meant to play. Sorry, I was confused as to why this wasn't working. That should be a B flat. B flat. So, when you reduce the F down, you're left with this shape. You have 0, 1, 0, 6, right? So this is all relative to E, so all you have to do is, instead of thinking of pitch, think of interval, right? You hear, okay, here's a minor second, here's a tritone, or here's a minor second, and then from the middle note to the top note is a perfect fourth. So that would then be, in integers, in your interval integers, that would be 0, 1, 6, right? It's this transposed up here. Do we see that? Yeah, I beg your pardon about the B flat issue. I'm sorry about that. So, we're going to get another operation each week to the end of the quarter. So today, these are just the 2 that we're getting, and then the following week we'll get 1 and then an additional 1. We're going to kind of continue to mess around trichords as these kind of like chordal objects, you know, and have you reduce them down to their approximate prime form. Now, how you would answer these on an exam, for instance, wouldn't necessarily be giving me the prime form. It would be writing out the pitches on the staff, okay, which is something you'd be far more comfortable with. But for my purposes, I'd like you to practice reducing them down and figuring out what the prime form is based on the trichord that I've played, okay? This will get more complicated in future weeks, but rest assured, we'll get you there little by little, okay? So, next time. Next week, we are doing... Oh, no, this is for next time. I'm getting ahead of myself. Next time, we're going to be doing melodic dictation, trichord dictation, and modus novus chord construction. So remember those chord constructions from last week. We spent an entire video on them. We're going to be doing one of those that has now seconds, thirds, fourths, fifths, and tritones. We're going to do a trichord dictation with operations, so what we just did, and we're going to do a melodic dictation. So lots to dictate. Friday is the big old dictation day. Yeah, and that's it for today. So if you have any questions, as always, please feel free to email me. I'm happy to schedule digital office hours as need be. We could go over singing, over dictation, over other problems. Happy to help. So with that, I will release all of you, and I will see all of you next time.